next topic that we're going to discuss is how prevalent is PED use in the sport of boxing. Clearly, we know this one. How long does it take you to get to the seat, my brother? We are in the middle of doing something, my brother.
You know, he'll be glad.
Hey, G, we need you back here, G.
Yo, the seat's comfortable, G, I'll tell you that.
Alright, so how prevalent is PED use in the sport of boxing? We have the casual boxing fan here, filling in for G, Ned. So Ned, I'm going to start with you. How prevalent is PED use in the sport of boxing?
Man, listen, I honestly don't know. I think these fighters train up. You want to believe the fighter is like a clean fighter. Like they come in, they're gonna honor the code. They have some integrity to them when they come into a fight. So I honestly hope, like my judgment is like all fighters are clean until proven dirty. You know, until proven dirty. So I don't know how casual it is in the sport of boxing, but like it's not like football where one season he's a twig, next season he's looking like he benched 300, 400 pounds. He done went through a whole Ironman training camp, So I really don't know how prevalent it is, how crazy it is. But that Gerald Miller, shame on you for what you did.
Good man has to suffer.
Good man. Man, trying to feed his family has to pay the price. He might have to retire after June 1st. So,
all right, Trill, we're going to swing the question your way. How prevalent is PED use in the sport of boxing? Being honest. Well, we would want you to be nothing less.
All right. Just between us. I think everybody's on the shoes.
Damn.
Did I just say that?
Damn.
Everybody's on something. Oh, damn. Did I just say that too? I didn't mean to say that.
You don't need to elaborate. I didn't mean to say to know why you feel this way, my brother.
Listen. Everybody's on something. Everybody's using something. Something.
tell us about it.
That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? We had got suspicions from everybody, and we're not gonna just shame Gerald Miller. Yo, B, it's me, Trill Miller. How can you do this? I backed you up this whole time. You was talking all this big talk. You was the one calling people out for being on roids, and you didn't just get caught with one of them in your system. I would have been cool with that. I'd be like, hey, they trying to free me.
Got a pass from sure.
They would have got a pass for me. You know what I'm saying?
So who came up?
I would have been like, yeah, stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a way of making excuses for people.
Trill could have excused that.
Yeah. But three?
Not one, not two.
You should be big from boxing.
Shame on you, Gerald Miller.
Just because of the way that you attacked the other fighters, and you was my guy. You know what I'm saying? You was my guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love how you carried yourself. I love the way you talked. I love the way that how you brought that feeling. You brought that dog mentality. Like it was, man, I'm starting to feel like everybody. Canelo got caught.
Can I say something? Like when it comes to other sports, you see like athletes get caught with PEDs, and we just brush it off. Like he's banned 4 or 5 games, and then he's back like nothing happened. And to us, we normalize it. Oh, it's just PEDs, nothing. But I see y'all are passionate about. I see you're passionate about PED use in boxing.
Just because with this, you can actually really kill somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's just say the other fighter, he isn't on PEDs.
Yeah.
You're just on PEDs. You giving you that extra amount of You can go in there, you can hurt somebody, you can go in there, you can take somebody's life. This is not a game. I love boxing. Okay? You know what I'm saying? This is not my second sport, my third sport. It's the number 1 sport that I watch. You know what I'm saying? I don't even consider this a sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys don't play this. Yeah. Any other sport you play, you don't play boxing. with anything in their system. Anybody that you should be banned, should be no ham, you should be banned.
All right, so if I may just, and I'm gonna need the floor for a second, because this is one that really struck me. You brought up something that is true. You said you can see how passionate we are about this, and mainly for me, the sport of boxing saved my life. Not just the fact that I went to a gym, I actually learned how to fight, and that it taught me discipline. But coming up in a home that was filled with so much adversity and so much chaos, the only thing that was consistent in my life was the next fight. I didn't know when I was going to eat. I didn't know what type of scenario I would walk into when I came home, but I knew I could look forward to the next big fight. I knew when Tyson was fighting. I knew when Lennox was fighting. I knew when Felix Trinidad was fighting. I knew when Oscar De La Hoya was fighting. I knew when my guys were fighting, and I could look forward to that. It was the one thing that was consistent in my life, was the sport. And so when guys do certain things that cheat the sport, it does bother me. And here's why. For a kid who believed in Gerald Big Baby Miller, for a kid who was looking forward to seeing him take on the British champion, with the opportunity to earn 3 of the 4 recognized belts, who believed in him, was let down. And that letdown has serious damage, because now this kid's like, man, this dude's a fraud. I believed in a fraud. But beyond that, it just adds to some of the uncertainty that people face. But how prevalent is PED used in the sport of boxing? I decided to jot down all the names that I could remember and the incidents that took place. And so I'll start with one fighter named Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley never failed a drug test, but the Balco investigation, which led to Victor Conti being arrested, revealed that Shane Mosley was using the cream, the clear, and EPO. And it revealed that Victor Conti taught Shane Mosley how to inject EPO into his body. And there was a deposition in which Shane Mosley admits to injecting the drug into his body. So he knowingly used PEDs. And he knowingly used PEDs before his 2003 rematch with Oscar De La Hoya. Another fighter who tested positive for a banned substance, Roy Jones Jr. Now, Roy Jones Jr. tested positive after his fight with Richard Hall. He tested positive for androstenedione, which is a substance that increases the production of testosterone, energy, and ability to recover in a fighter or an athlete. Now, this was very popular because when I was in high school, creatine was one of the supplements that had just came out, and a lot of the athletes were using it. But androstenedione was one that they were taking as well, and you had to make decisions. Mark McGuire is the guy who made this substance famous when he hit all those home runs. But you had to make a decision. It was like, am I going to start doing? So creatine was acceptable. This substance, although they were selling it over the counter at one point, was banned. And Roy said he was taking this when it was being sold over the counter, but at the time he tested positive for it, it was banned. So whether or not you believe Roy's story, still he tested positive for a banned substance. Now, the next fighter I'm going to name is Evander the Real Deal Holyfield. He never had a positive test, but he is accused of taking HGH. And at the time he was fighting, there wasn't a reliable test for HGH. However, there was a study, well not a study, an investigation which showed that PEDs were actually being delivered to Evander Holyfield's home, but under a different name. Holyfield denies he was taking HGH. However, the impacts of HGH is that it increases lean body mass, speeds up recovery, reduces muscle fatigue and injury. Now you have to think, Evander Holyfield came from the cruiserweight division to the heavyweight division where he fought some of the best heavyweights of his era and where fights. It's something that is tough to stomach. Another fighter, Vitaly Klitschko. Vitaly Klitschko was thrown off the Ukrainian Olympic team in 1996 after testing positive for steroids. And another name, one that's rolling around everywhere. People know this guy because he's running his mouth and running his yap all over sports television. Tyson Fury, folks, tested positive for a banned substance. Tyson Fury received a 2-year ban from the UK anti-doping agency after he tested positive for Nandrolone. He blamed the positive test on eating uncastrated wild boar. Nandrolone allows fighters to train harder. It reduces tiredness and helps the body build muscle. So,
We
Mr.
didn't even
Fury,
get into the Ortizes and King Kong.
Mr. Fury, Tyson Fury, the man talking all this smack about Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, is actually the one who's been suspended for testing positive for being sick.
Not me to cut you off.
Yes.
But you see how you named all those names? You see how every time you named off one of those names, it hurts your heart, right?
Yes.
Goes back to my comment that I said in the beginning. Everybody.
I don't know if I'm going to get there, but we're going to get back to that. Another fighter who tested positive for banned substance, Dillian White. Dillian White, banned in 2012 for testing positive for MHA. Dillian White blamed this test on taking Jack 3D, a pre-workout that was sold in stores such as supplement shops such as GNC that was pulled off the shelf. However, once again, whether or not Jack 3D contained this substance, whether or not he really died as a result of taking Jack 3D, who knows? What we do know is that he tested positive for this banned substance. And I can go on, I'll just run through a list of people who also tested positive for banned substances. Would be Fernando Vargas, James Toney, Luis Ortiz, Alexander Brevekin, Jerome Big Baby Miller, Shannon the Cannon Briggs, and Andre Berto. This list is very long, and I can continue to name fighters. Canelo. I didn't want to name my dog Canelo, but
So I'll raise y'all a question. Should PEDs be accepted?
no.
Would it even the playing field?
No.
Not at all.
PD should.
But we see when PEDs have settled to play the field before.
Tit for tat, I got your back. Yeah, for those who are not aware of what we're discussing, we're talking about Manny Pacquiao, Juan Manuel Marquez, where Pacquiao received the benefit of very close fights against Juan Manuel Marquez, fights in which Manuel Marquez's physique was very slim and very natural looking. In the fourth fight, in which Juan Manuel Marquez knocked out Manny Pacquiao with a devastating one punch as he was coming in, Marquez's body looked as strong as it's ever looked. It was more ripped. It was more defined.
Like an action figure.
And it just looked like
He was paying Manny Pacquiao out back for all the times that Manny Pacquiao was using steroids. So he was like, this time I'm going to use
Manny Pacquiao has been he is a fighter who people are speculate that he may have and he was using PEDs. And that's how he was able to win in 8 weight divisions. That's why he was able to carry his power up to the higher weight divisions and knock out other fighters. And
not only PEDs, a lot of these guys is blood doping.
yeah, blood doping, and that's the main thing I think Pacquiao was doing was blood doping, because he went from throwing 100 punches around to 40. So Juan Marquez knocked out Manny Pacquiao. And then one of these media outlets puts the camera on Floyd Mayweather Sr. And you know how Floyd Mayweather Sr. struggles to get his words out. He said, I ain't even going to say what Marquez did to him was a tit for tat. I got your back. signed up for VADA testing. Earl Spence was late signing up for VADA testing. Gerald Big Baby Miller is one who's on that list, and as you see now, he's tested positive for 3 banned substances. I agree with Trill. I believe PED use is a big problem in the sport. I don't believe every fighter is taking illegal performance enhancement substances, but I do believe every fighter is taking some form of a PED, whether that's snack products, which seems to be a popular brand among boxing. At least they're trying to make it a popular brand. They sponsor Devin Haney, Julian J. Rock Williams, who just won the title against Jarrett Hurd. I've seen Demetrius Andrade promoting them. They have a few fighters promoting snack, which seems to be trying to cater to the boxing fan base. But there are a number of brands, pre-workouts, amino acids, a lot of supplements fighters take to improve recovery and boost performance, but are not illegal. I do believe every fighter takes a PED, but I do believe some fighters go beyond by taking illegal PEDs. And I think when you take an illegal PED that is banned, that substance has been banned for a reason. And if you stack illegal substances, you should definitely be banned from sport boxing.
And I want people to, the reason why a lot of these fighters are not getting caught is because of how they're using the PEDs. Now, like they're only being subject to testing while there's a fight going on. So when you're in your downtime and before you start training for the fight or before the fight is getting announced, these guys, that's when these guys is using these PhDs to get their bodies right before. That's why you see a lot of these fighters, they be getting caught with the masking agents left in their system and stuff like that that's been used for masking agents in their system. Because a lot of these fighters, they're using these PEDs way before, say, if a fight's announced 3 weeks before. You know what I'm saying? That's when they use it. You know what I'm saying? And then hopefully they can get it cleared out their system by the time the fight rolls around, and they probably only have to do that urine test or what have you.
And another common strategy is they're just leaving the sport, not fighting, inactivity for 18 months, then returning back. And some people have said and made that argument with Floyd Mayweather, saying, "Oh, he's retiring because he's doping, and then he comes back once he has the benefits of the doping, and then he takes a fight." I can say Floyd Mayweather's ability and skill is light years ahead of everyone else that I've ever seen in the ring. I have no reason to believe it, but it's a theory that's been thrown out there. And which leads me to the Pacquiao-Thurman fight. If Pacquiao is doping, was doping, and is doping for this fight, it only strengthens my belief that he will take Thurman out. So I hope that there is some strict drug testing on this fight, because if he's going to beat Thurman, I hope that he does it as a